Okay, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the Ultimate Fitness YouTube channel. Joined with Lesiak again today, full-time British champion. Today's video, we're going to talk about the 10 workout myths debunked. So we're going to talk about things that you probably read in magazines or seen on the internet, which you thought were real, and we're going to strip them down and tell you the exact truth. So, if you like this video, like, subscribe, let's get started. Workout myth number one. I mean, I see this quite a lot, especially in my gym. I get a girl who started training, she's probably first time in the gym, and the first thing she says to me is, Simon, I don't want to get too big. I don't want to get too big. There's no way on earth you're going to wake up one day after a few weeks training and wake up like Corey Everson or Linda Marie. There's no way. It's hard for us guys to put too much muscle on. So that is one myth. You're not going to get too big by training weights. The weight training will exactly enhance your physique. A lot of people that come, they just do loads and loads of cardio, making the physique softer and smaller. Weight training will have many benefits. Will make you stronger, will give you bigger muscles, but not too big. So that is one myth you need to get out of your head. Weight training will not get you too big. What are your thoughts on that, Dean?
You're exactly right. I mean, women's genetics are against muscle building. Guys build muscle much more efficiently because they have really high testosterone compared to a woman. A woman has tiny amounts of testosterone and a lot more estrogen, and that stops them from building muscle. To build muscle, it takes years, and it's a combination of real heavy weights, hard training, and tons of food along with the rest. So just because you're in here smashing out heavy squats and deadlifts, you're not gonna look big and manly. It takes years and years. Even the girls that are taking like testosterone, drugs, steroids, find it hard to put that muscle on. It takes them years. So if you're a natural lifter, go as heavy as you can. All it's gonna give you is a nice shape, structure, and strength.
Yeah, so ladies, don't be scared to get yourselves in the gym. Yep.
Okay, myths training in the gym. One big mistake I see a lot of people making, a lot of the women do this, but I see many guys doing it too, is they don't lift heavy weights. They're just gonna go for lifting light weights and loads of reps, thinking that's gonna burn fat or build muscle. If you want to build muscle, you gotta lift heavy, basically. Light weights and loads of reps are not gonna build muscle. It's more endurance training. Yes, you're gonna burn a lot of calories, but you're gonna be burning glycogen, not fat, in the gym. So you got to lift heavy if you want to grow weight. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. And also, it's exactly true, especially come pre-contest time, when people, as soon as they get into pre-contest diet, they switch their training, what built them that physique in the first place, to a more circuit training, lightweight, high reps. So I would always stick to your sort of foundation, basic training principles when you're trying to gain weight, or if you're even dieting. So that's what built you in the muscle in the first place, and that will keep you in the muscle in the long run. Okay, myth number 3. You need to bench press to build a big chest. So me and Dean did a video yesterday explaining the do's and don'ts and the tips on how to build a bigger chest. And do you need to bench press to build a big chest? Yes and no. Some people it may be very beneficial for, and it may be very effective, but for someone like me and Dean, who are so very shoulder dominant, bench press isn't a great exercise. So no, you do not need to bench press to build a bigger chest. Find an exercise which stimulates your chest more effectively of using dumbbells, cables, machines, whatever. But just because people bench press and they got big chest doesn't mean it will work for you. So that is another myth debunked.
Okay, myth number 4. Squats, deadlifts give you a big belly, big waist. That's an absolute lie. You may have heard that a million times on YouTube, and it's usually skinny people with skinny legs that are saying this, saying if you do heavy squats, you do heavy deadlifts, you're gonna get a big bloated waist. This cannot happen. You get big bloated waist from force feeding, overeating, taking too many drugs that make you force feed even more. Over time, it's gonna stretch your belly from the inside out. That muscle around there can only grow a little bit, but say like a deadlift, for example. If you're doing really heavy deadlifts, your spinal erectors are say this big, they double in size. Okay, it might put an inch on your waist, but your lats are this big, if they also double in size, now your waist, even though it's grown an inch, looks 4 inches smaller. So you are the shape that you are. You cannot change the shape of the muscles. All you can do is put more emphasis on different areas. They can get bigger, they can get smaller, but they can't change in shape. If you genetically got a small waist, you're never gonna have a big blocky waist. If you genetically got really wide hips, you're always gonna have wide hips. All you can do is try and grow your shoulders more as possibly you can. So hit the heavy weights. Don't be scared of deadlifts and squats, because these are some of the best exercises you can perform for putting on mass power strength.
Yeah, following from that, I mean, obviously me and Dean have competed and we have got very similar structures, and we both are avid deadlifters, squatters. We've squatted throughout our whole bodybuilding careers, and on stage we still had very small, tight waist, and we had the big flaring legs and the big lats. So squatting, deadlifting didn't do our physiques any harm, so that is another myth debunked. Okay, another myth debunked is you can only train one muscle once a week. Now that may be true for some people, but it all depends on your recovery. I mean, Dean's recovery might be different to mine, and so. So it all depends on certain aspects like how you sleep, your nutrition, genetics, if you're taking performance enhancing drugs. So some people, like freaks like Ronnie Coleman, he has the capacity to train twice a day. Then you got the other spectrum where, like Dorian Yates, he could only train 4 times a week. So it all depends on your recovery system. I would experiment. If you feel like you can still get in the workout in, say 4 or 5 days later, give it a go. But most people tend to stick train once a week because it's easiest, and they stick on the same days every week. But everyone's different. Experiment what's best for you.
To follow up on that, just a little bit of science, how muscle fibers work. Basically, here's your muscle fibers. When you put massive stress on them, you're training in the gym. What you're actually doing is putting little micro tears in the fibers. And then you go home, you eat loads of food, you rest. It can take 24 to 48 hours for that recovery process to completely heal that muscle. Only once it's healed, it grows new muscle strands, and that's your body's defense mechanism to try and stop that weight load from doing that. So if 100 kilo ripped it, after weeks and months you get stronger and stronger. 100 kilo can't do that, so then you need to find ways to put more stress, putting more weight on, doing more reps, whatever, to keep that process going. But however, that's for an average person. So you think 2 days, 3 days max, I can train that muscle again. But as Simon says, it depends on your genetics. It depends whether you're taking steroids, because that's going to speed up the process. Depends on your nutrition, depends on your genetics, depends how active you are. All these factors are going to play a role into how fast you recover. But think about this: if I train my chest, 3 days later it's ready to go again. But day 2 I train my back, so now I have all this muscle and all that muscle to repair. So that process is going to take even longer. It might take 4 days, 5 days. The next day I train something else. It may even take 6 days. So an average person in an active lifestyle with average genetics probably needs nearly 5-6 days rest on each muscle. But exactly like he says, you need to experiment what works best for you. If you have an unactive job and you get lots of sleep and you get to rest, then you can probably get away with doing that little bit more. That's the science behind it and how it works.
Having said that, your body is very clever and it will adapt to any kind of stress. So if you train, say, legs twice a week, your body will find a way in the long term to sort of adapt to that stress, and it will sort of recover to that stress in its own way. So your body is very clever and it will sort of work with you in the long run. So bear that in mind. So that is myth number 5 debunked.
Number 6 on the myths. Training a weak body part more than once a week. A lot of people, if they got probably weak legs, it's normally the case because they don't train them. They say, oh, well, I've got weak legs, I've got to train them 2-3 times a week. Normally, if you do genetically have a weak body part, that's because it doesn't respond so well. Say like myself, Simon's a little similar, very strong, dominant shoulders. No matter what we do, they grow. I have a very weak chest. So I have to really concentrate on what I do to train chest. So I could train however many times with shoulders and they're going to respond. They just seem to recover much faster than I have a lot more fast twitch fibers in the shoulders than I do say my chest. If I try and do chest more than once a week, it responds even less because it needs more recovery time because it's a weak body part. It doesn't have the muscle fibers in that area what it does in others. So unless you're just being lazy, and in the case of leg training, people just don't go heavy enough, so they go light 3 times a week. You're never going to grow big legs doing that. I suggest the weak parts, hit them really hard once a week. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, also not just hitting it hard, but hitting it correctly. You can hit a muscle hard, but if you're not, try and really isolate, try and really get that mind to muscle connection, rather than just slamming the weights around. Really focus on, like I said, isolating the weight. Even if you have to drop the weight back and get your form better, it's better to do that than using all the other muscles to lift the weight. So yes, train it very hard, but train it correctly as well.
Just to add one more thing to that, sounds a little contradicting, but say like a weak chest. I did it once with my arms. When you got a weak area, I say only train it once a week. You can get away with say doing it twice a week, but the way I got around that was I stopped training shoulders, I stopped training quads, and I stopped training back for a short period of time so I could get 2 chest sessions on and get twice as much rest, so I healed much quicker. That seemed to really respond and work for me over that short period of time. But I don't recommend you laying off body parts for long periods of time, because that's when you start to pick up injuries and stuff, because areas start to get weak. You start lifting weights that you could use to handle and you can't. So if you really want to get that body part up, lay off your strongest parts for a short period of time and get them 2 sessions in, or just stick to the 1 a week. It needs more rest.
Going back up what Dean said, I remember when I was preparing for the British Championships one year, and I was very bottom heavy. So for 6 months before the competition, I didn't do any leg training, and I really concentrated on my chest, my shoulders, and I hit everything twice a week. I didn't do no legs. Training legs, smashing legs does take a lot of recovery, and it sort of takes away from other muscles growing. So my legs, I didn't really lose any size off my legs, probably lost a bit of condition, but my upper body did mostly get bigger. So it does work. If you have got a stronger body part, you can lay off it, maybe train it once every 2 weeks. But I love training legs, so does Dean, so that's why we are big legs. Okay, myth number 7, free weights are better than machines. Free weights are better for building mass than machines. Not really. Back in the day when equipment wasn't so advanced like we have today, a lot of people did use free weights because probably that was all that was around, all that was available. But now there's so many good brands, and especially with the new sort of like Prime, Atlantis, Hammerstring, all these machines sort of replicate free weights but in a much safer manner. So it's just by saying a lat pull or a barbell row is better than doing a row on a machine. There's a load of bollocks really. And using machines is a lot safer, control the negative, and it's sort of safer, easier to sort of spot. So that is one myth, free weights isn't better than machines. Both are as effective as each other, so it's best to use both.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think you should never shy away from free weights and compound movements. That's massively going to help with strength, so you can handle more weight loads on the machines. But like you said, the machines these days, there's so much science and thought gone into making those machines that it targets certain areas so good that some of these machines are better than free weights for getting up certain areas. So I completely agree, it should be a combination of both.
And also, if you have like an injury, it's probably better to use a machine rather than free weights, because with a free weight you've got more movements. So if you've got like a bad shoulder, you've got sort of too much movement where you can move your shoulder too far back, but in a machine it's in a fixed plane, so you can concentrate on rehab on that certain area. So definitely give them both a go, but there is not one better than the other.
Myth number 8. This one's aimed more for the girls, but there are some guys that really just want to focus on their butt. So you see so many YouTube videos and bullshit videos going around now, people doing these little kickbacks and using all kinds of machines to try and target their bum, tiny little weights. If you want to grow big glutes, you gotta push heavy. It's like you ain't never seen anybody with massive legs that just do leg extensions. You gotta lift heavy weights, you gotta do big squats, you gotta do leg presses, hack squats. You gotta lift the heavy movements to build that mass and that size. when you really isolate a muscle on a very small weight, it's targeting smaller areas. It's not going to give you that size of mass. So doing 2 kilo kickbacks and feeling that butt squeeze is not going to grow you big glutes. Best thing you can do is squat rock bottom, really heavy lunges coming back. These hip thrusts, that's the new thing that's in. You can put some good weight load on there and really concentrate on squeezing those glutes. But trying to use a shoulder press to do your glutes is stupid. It's not safe. I see people on the Smith machine and doing vertical leg press on the Smith machine. The bar is, they've got 2-3 plates aside. If that slips off, that's a lot. Yeah, that's going to break your ribs. That can put you in hospital. Why do that? We have these machines especially made for that in gyms like this. So stop going to these fad little silly things you see on YouTube of very slim girls doing these little kickbacks. You've got to lift some heavy weights to build that mass. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, go back to what Dean says. I mean, people do neglect the basics. They see these little cool videos on YouTube, Instagram, and they think, oh, this is cool, and it looks cool, and nobody likes to do a squat because it's hard, it's heavy, and it's, everyone does squats, but you put a band and walk up and down the track sideways like a crab, then everyone wants to do it. So go back to the basics, shy away from all the bullshit little exercises, and do some heavy ass squats. That's if you want to build up big ass.
You can do those small little movements at the end of your workout, but you've got to put in the heavy work to start with if you want to grow that muscle. Then you can target it and finish it off and hit those little areas. But you're never going to get big by just doing those exercises.
Yeah, so stop trying to reinvent the wheel.
Okay, so number 10 on the myth list. I see a lot of people going far too heavy, using machines and weights that is more than what they're capable of lifting, and it's usually down to logbooks and stuff like this. I've never used a logbook in my life. Have you?
Never.
Some people need them, and it's great for progression. But stop chasing. You haven't got to do a PB every single week, and if you can do a PB every week, you wasn't training hard enough in the first place. So it doesn't matter what you lift when you're bodybuilding. What matters is you take the muscle to absolute failure and keep it growing. You always want to try and push for more, and it's great to keep progressing, but you haven't got to PB every week. And just because your logbook says I have to hit this number, it's not always practical in everyday life. If your training is so consistent, you do nothing but eat, sleep, train and take drugs, that's your whole life, then maybe you'll be able to hit those a lot easier. Most people have normal lives where they have stresses, they have to work 8-hour days, sometimes more. Sometimes you're tired, sometimes you didn't get that sleep, you may have missed one meal. You can't always be at your strongest every single time. So listen to your body more, same as the scales. If you're trying to put weight on and all you're doing is chasing the scale, and it's going up and up and up and up, you're probably getting fatter and fatter and more bloated. It takes a long time to build muscle. Again, I'm not telling you not to try and progress. You have to have goals and keep pushing towards them, but be realistic about your goals. Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, going on about the logbook, if you are trying to chase a PB every week, it goes right. I mean, there's no way you can do a PB every week, and if you are, you're probably sacrificing form. One day you might not be going as low on a squat or bench press, so don't compromise your form just to hit a PB, because it is counterproductive and you're not really hitting a PB.
Yeah, I see guys that they're putting weight on every week, and like you say, the reps get a little shallower or the form goes a little more sloppy, and they just end up fooling themselves. And you end up going backwards in training just to try and put more weight on the bar. And say I squatted 5 plates aside, when realistically you can do 4 at a push, nice and deep, which is going to get you that growth in the areas you need. If you're pushing and doing bad form, you're risking massively injuring yourself, plus you're not putting the stress on the muscle that you want to, so you're not going to grow. It becomes ego lifting. Listen to your body, and the best thing to do is, whenever you're going to failure, say whatever it is, your perfect form fail, your body will do everything it possibly can to lift that weight. So then you find your lines start changing, other muscles coming in. You have to be mentally strong to fight those lines and keep it on the muscle where you want to. Make that muscle go to failure. It doesn't matter about lifting the weight. What matters is going to failure.
Okay, so thanks for watching our video on 10 workout myths debunked, and hope you took away some of the things that me and Steve talked about today. There are a lot of myths in bodybuilding, the gym industry, but find out what's right and what's wrong and do your own research, and hopefully you took away a few of the tips that some of the myths that we have debunked. Dean?
Yeah, just like you're saying, do your research and don't listen to Bob down the road. Listen to the people that have won and consistently won, the people that know, the people that prep the top guys. I mean, myself in my career, I've got to know a lot of the top pros. Simon knows just about every pro in the industry and all the top coaches. And we get the information from the best of the best. So if you're going to listen to people, listen to the people that not just won once, that's good enough, but who have consistently won and been the top of their game. They have to know what they're doing. They have the right strategy. Listen to these people, do your research.
Yeah, so drop this video a like, subscribe, and don't forget, stay tuned for the next video. See you soon.